What is up, everybody? Dave from Dave's Dungeon. My good friend Lee, the Pop-Tart, the helmet lover. He's asked me to do an intro for this week's Top of the Funko Pops. Now, this week's episode is wrestling themed, and it's being done by Jimmy Barnes. So, 6 months ago, if I was asked to do this, I'd say wrestling? No thanks. And who the hell is Jimmy Barnes? Well, I can tell you now, my stance on wrestling has softened a bit, and I do know who Jimmy Barnes is. Now, if you watch some of my earlier videos, I'm in the middle of a hunt. I come across the wrestling section. I would crack a joke and just go the other way. I've never been big into wrestling. I got two grown sons. They're almost 30 years old. And, 18, 20 years ago, they were both really getting into WWE. And I was like, no. Please no. I mean, they were buying the magazines. They were talking about it all the time. Driving me crazy. And I've never really been into wrestling. Okay, so you can imagine being the father and these guys are really getting into it. Well, luckily it was a fad. Didn't last long. And then, fast forward 20 years, YouTube, I'm obviously a Funko Pop guy, action figure collector, and in the community we all support each other. Y'all check each other's stuff out and help each other out, and it's like, action figures and wrestling figures, they kind of share the same world. And so, like I said, my stance is kind of softened. It's like, wrestling figures, those are kind of cool. Undertaker, he's cool, and I find myself, I'm not a fan, but I'm not running away from it either. Let's talk about Jimmy Barnes. Now, this is one eclectic dude, okay? Not too many videos on YouTube are you gonna check in on it, and the guy's gonna have a Rammstein t-shirt on, and he's gonna have showing you his latest Pet Shop Boys pops. By the way, giving you a serenade of Depeche Mode, and I believe it's a train whistle before showing the pop. Or it might be his latest college football mascot from America. He's into all kinds of stuff. The guy he listens to some music that I don't even know the genre, let alone the artist. I was checking out his Patreon page because I thought, hey, help this guy out, And there was like two options. 50 cents a month or $100 a month. I was like, man, I like him at least that much. I don't know if I like him this much, though. $5 a month, Jimmy? I don't know. Alright, I'm messing around. I love Jimmy Barnes. The guy's a nut. I'm a nut, too. Two peas in a pod. Long-lost brothers from a different mother, right? I met Jimmy a few months back, and we've been talking a lot, getting to know each other. I love this guy. I can't wait to see what his take on these Funko wrestling pops is going to be. So without further ado, I'll stop joking around. Let's get to the video.
Hiya! Welcome! So I'm back on the Pop-Tarts ever popular and long-running Top of the Funko Pops series, and I'm really happy to do so and show you 5 Funko Pops that I've picked that you're going to vote for, hopefully. I had the idea to do this, and I got in touch with Lee, the Pop-Tarts, and he said, oh brilliant, I'll slot you in. The idea I had was, because it's my biggest collection, I wanted to do something wrestling related, but something where they all had a common theme to them. And then I had the idea of doing World Heavyweight Champions. So only picking wrestling pops in my collection who have been a world champion in one of the major promotions. You'd think that would narrow it down some. There's so many world champions and brilliant pops that just didn't make the cut for me. CM Punk, who's one of my most expensive Funko Pops, he's not made the top 5, so sorry, no Punk to vote for. Ultimate Warrior, former World Wrestling Federation champion, he's not made the cut. Plenty of other champions, Ric Flair, Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock, Goldberg, Kurt Angle, Undertaker, Shawn Michaels, John Cena, Bret Hart. None of those are in, so you're going to want to know which 5 World Heavyweight Champions I've picked for this episode of Totfp. That's a mouthful. Go on, insert it, Tarty, you know you want to. You get 2 innuendos for the price of 1 when I'm around. So, I've picked 5 of my favourite wrestling pops in my collection. These aren't in any order of preference, these are just how I've grabbed them. So, let me start off with number 1. And this is the exclusive Demon Finn Balor, or Balor. I'm saying Balor, how William Regal says it. Balor will do. This is, I think originally, it's an FYE exclusive in America. Very similar to the Chase Finn Balor, but I think this one's nicer. If I had the choice of the two, I would go with this exclusive one anyway, because he's got this kind of sewed-on fake wig type thing going on. But look how cool he looks with his demon face paint. And some excellent detail with some body paint. Does Finn Balor qualify as a world champion? Of course he does. NXT champion and Universal champion. They are both 2 world titles under the WWE umbrella. So therefore Finn Balor is your first world heavyweight champion. Number 2 is one of my very first pops. This may have been like the 3rd or 4th I ever bought back in 2018. It remains one of my all-time favourites. It's Hollywood Hulk Hogan, of course. This was a 2K something exclusive, maybe 2K15, it doesn't matter. Fell in love with this pop as soon as I saw it, really, and I had to get it. This one has gone up in value quite a lot over the years. There's been a few Hogans released, particularly in more recent years, but they're all kind of a variation on his classic red and yellow look. I love the NWO look. I love the black bandana that says Hollywood, the white sunglasses, the NWO tank top. I just think this is so evocative of an era in pro wrestling that I'm a massive fan of to this day. The mid to late 90s, where wrestling was absolutely on fire, and both WWF, as it was then, and WCW provided some really exciting programming. Obviously Hogan, he's been a multi-time world champion in both WWE and WCW, and therefore eligible. So if you like Hollywood Hogan, put it down in the comments. Now, number 3, on the surface of it, this doesn't look one of the most exciting Funko Pops ever, but it's been one of my favourites. It's been in my top 10 the day I saw it for the first time, and it's been in my collection now well over 2 years. It also goes to show that it isn't just WWE Pops that I'm including, because number 3 is Kenny Omega. Now, I don't know why I find this pop so appealing, I just do. It's really authentic to how he looks. The hair is just... I remember when I got this pop, this was like the first pop I think I ever got that I really appreciated what a good job they did with the hair. And I love these little cornrows, these little dreadlocks that hang down. Other than that, you'd say it's a relatively simple pop. Nothing too exciting, but I love it. I think this is great. Not trying to sway anyone's vote, obviously, because I think all 5 of these are worthy of being voted for. This just looks just like him, and I also like the fact that I've been able to pick someone who has never wrestled for WWE, although technically he was a member of their developmental system many years ago, but certainly never been on any of the 3 main rosters in WWE, Raw, SmackDown, NXT. He is of course a World Heavyweight Champion though, AEW World Champion, IWGP Heavyweight Champion over in New Japan Pro Wrestling. So if you like Kenny Omega, the cleaner, then he's number 3. My 4th pick is another pop like Hollywood Hogan that was getting on for Grail level, so it cost me extra. But I'm so glad I got it, and it's just a beautiful pop, really. And I'm so happy that I'm able to include this in my top 5. It's Rey Mysterio, of course. Now, this is the common Rey Mysterio. There's a couple of variants that are even more expensive than this was. But to say this is sort of a fairly early pop, or certainly early in the WWE line, it was probably like part of their first wave or something, maybe second, I don't know. And he's got that kind of generic pop kind of I am about to pinch off a loaf pose here. I still think the detail is great, and obviously his mask is just so colourful and interesting and vivid and bright, and there'll be a lot of people who, especially with his value increasing, will have never taken him out of box. So you'd never see this nice kind of Aztec symbol here on the back. The red, white and blue motif of the mask is fantastic. They've done a great job with his tattoos, look, on both the front of him and on his back. Rey Mysterio, he's a World Heavyweight Champion. He won the old World Heavyweight title in WWE, and he was very briefly WWE Champion as well during that whole summer of Punk. John Cena beat him for it like about an hour after he won it or something. Oh well, Ray, never mind. But there we go, Rey Mysterio. What an amazing looking Funko Pop that is. That's number 4 for your World Heavyweight Champions. My 5th and final Heavyweight Champion of the world. This is just one that just doesn't come around anywhere that I can see. I was able to get it a couple of years ago or so. It's Shinsuke Nakamura. I love his pose. The pose, if you know Shinsuke Nakamura, it's just spot on. His hair looks fantastic as well, with that shaved side there, and then everything's long and brushed over to the right side of his head. And he's sort of slightly glittery, not real glitter, but just that sort of effect, like a sort of metallic glittery studded effect on his wrestling attire here. Just a lovely figure, this. Really evocative of the artist Shinsuke Nakamura. Is Shinsuke Nakamura a former world champion? Of course he is. IWGP heavyweight champion over in Japan multiple times, and he's a former NXT champion as well. Right, so there we are. So that's your 5. So you know what to do. Whichever one you like, leave them down in the comments. I'll give you a quick recap. Number 1 is Finn Balor. Number 2 is Hollywood Hogan. Number 3 is, of course, the cleaner, Kenny Omega. Number 4, Rey Mysterio. And number 5, Shinsuke Nakamura. I'm going to go. I'll hand you back over to the Pop-Tart. Thank you all for watching, and enjoy the vote. Keep on enjoying this series. Many thanks, Lee, for inviting me on once again, and hopefully I'll be seeing you all again on top of the Funko Pops very soon. Cheers, everyone. See ya!
So there you go, fantastic episode from Jimmy Barnes. I think everyone will agree on that. So you know what to do by now to pick your favourite wrestling champion. But before we close out the episode, big thank you to Dave from Dave's Dungeon, also for doing that intro for me. Really appreciate that. The Dungeon's super busy at the moment. If you haven't, check out Dave's Dungeon and Jimmy Barnes' channel. Both will have links in the description to this video. And if you haven't already, check out some of the other episodes from this week's Top of the Funko Pops week. We're coming to a close tomorrow with an episode from yours truly. But get your votes in for your favourite wrestling champion from this episode from Jimmy. Really enjoyed this episode, Jimmy. And I'm going to break my rule of thumb. I am voting now, and I'm going to put the first vote in for that Finn Balor pop. I think that is a fantastic pop. Really good champion, and actually a wrestler who I really like. So it's a win-win-win for me. But get your votes in. I am closing all the voting on midnight on Wednesday, June. I nearly said July. June the 2nd, with the aim of the results show being next Friday. So if you have been involved up to now on day 4, thank you ever so much. And hopefully I will see you again for the final episode of Top of the Funko Pops week, which is tomorrow with me, and it's the Red Eyes. Until then, take care of yourself. Bye for now. Bye.